silver tubers. It is MrZeke coming to you from the silver pouring bench. This is a little different video. This is a little bit outside of my wheelhouse. When you watch one of my videos, you expect to see pouring, or you expect to see something of, the metal nature. However, I have noticed a trend. I've been catching a lot of prepper videos as of recently, and I just got done watching. In fact, there are some in the community, like part-time preppers, where it's right in their channel. And I just watched Jade Schaefer, her video on her EDC Go bag, and I wanted to highlight an item that I oftentimes see overlooked. And yes, in case you're wondering, that is Kate Reed's artwork you're looking at right now. I got a new package in the mail today. It's another acquisition for my prepping. I'm not so much of a prepper. I always thought preppers fell into one of two categories: the hunker-downers and the runners. And I have always been a runner. Those of you who have talked to me in depth know that I spent more than my fair share of time in the woods, in less than ideal environments, and learned a lot about surviving. Of course, I learned a lot of that when I was a kid, but I did learn one piece of equipment that I don't see talked about very much. Most of the channels that cover this topic cover high-end luxury items. They don't cover tools. So tonight we're going to cover a tool. Most of the time I talk to coworkers about this, and they're like, "Oh, I don't wear one of those. I just use my cell phone if I need to know what time it is." And so I would like to visit with you just shortly about the wristwatch. Now, I have multiple different ones laid out here, depending on your bent. I have two Casio Tough Solars and a Sunto. I wore a Sunto when I was in the service because everybody wore a Sunto. It was the old Vector. I've progressed on to this one. It's a good watch, but I'll explain why I favor the Casios over this one. This one requires recharging, and in a worst case scenario, I highly doubt I'm going to stop and recharge my watch. The Casio, even though this is a GPS, has a built-in GPS, but that's assuming everything is still working with the GPSs. So these two require nothing but sunlight, and they can go months without any sunlight. They have a battery power reserve indicator at the bottom there that tells me how much power there is. And so you can see by the bezel on this one, it's definitely gotten some wear. I've had about 6 of these. I started with this one because I like the large face, easy to read. They're Tough Solar, very easy to use, and what I really like about them is they're in the community. They're what's known as an ABC watch: altimeter, barometer, compass, and also thermometer is a side function of the barometer. I press barometer. It's going to give me the barometric pressure, and then it's also going to tell me what the barometric pressure is doing. Is it trending up, meaning good weather's coming or is here, or is it trending down, meaning storms are on the way? There's a lot of different things that you can do with these wristwatches. And so, nope, I don't want to set it. Okay, so let's look at, I purchased a new one because recently I've had a desire to have an analog and digital combo watch. And basically that means, and yes, I still carry a cell phone, but I don't want to dig it out every time I want to know what time it is. And I don't want to have to scroll through and tap an app if I want a time. So I got one of the latest, actually the latest Pro Trek. And so let's get into it. I have not looked at it yet. Comes with all the jazz. And for those of you who aren't manual readers, yeah, sorry. This thing's got these things. This is one of the smaller manuals that these things come with. There's all the warranty cards and information. And then there is a a quick set function, a quick set instruction in here. But I'm really anxious to see this thing, so they package them very nicely. Now I will advise you, these are not cheap, but what in life that's worth having is cheap. And so, oh yeah, that is a good looking watch. Let's get it out of the paper. As you can see, I wanted to have both an analog. I'm going to take this plastic off because this is mine now and I'm going to wear it. As you can see now, you have both an analog face with hands and a second counter, as well as a digital counter at the bottom. And it has an indicator here on the side as to what function you're using. I have not gotten into the hows and whys of how the watch works, which is okay. This is the sensor that will allow it to tell me the barometric pressure, the temperature. Usually one of these are, okay, so there's my compass. Typically compass is here. And this usually will return me back to time. Yeah, so why an ABC watch? Well, there's a million reasons why. But quite simply, if I am on the run and I know, with this watch, what I can do is I can set the chronograph, barometric pressure, temperature, and I can go in and change it from Celsius to Fahrenheit, and it's got a recorder. There's a stopwatch, so I can walk a mile with the stopwatch running. Usually this is my start button, and give myself a rough time of how long it takes me to walk a mile. I can put my backpack on, and it's sort of like a pace count like we used to do in the military, but get an idea for how long it takes me with my backpack on to walk a mile. And then if I'm trying to judge distance while I'm going or on the run, or however you want to put it, I know how long it's taken me. See, the indicator over here is switched down to timer mode, and this is a countdown timer. These you typically have 5 alarms, which is nice. World time, which once I figure this one out, this is really nice because when we're on chats or if I'm talking to somebody on the other side of the world, I have not, like I said, I have not read the manual as to how this works. So I don't know exactly how to scroll through all the different, but usually it's 35 cities and then back to the main time. Very nicely done, very lightweight, not heavy at all. They're a little larger on the wrist than most people think, but in the absence of my cell phone, this will help me understand what's going on with the weather. Do I need to seek shelter because the barometric pressure is dropping rapidly, meaning a storm front is rolling in? Or am I clear to continue movement because the barometric pressure is on the rise, or it isn't moving at all, meaning whatever weather I'm in currently in is going to stay that way? They are very good about lume. You can typically see these in the dark. And so here we have the reference information. The battery, the tough solar batteries they're usually good. They hold a full charge in excess of 10 years. Some of them even longer, depending on how much you access the functions and how well you keep them charged up. But this is one of those items that if I had to ditch everything, there is a lot that I could do with this watch. It's more than just a watch. In fact, a lot of them, they refer to them as wrist-top computers because of all the different technology involved in this. I chose this one because I like the color. I like it blacked out. It usually helps me at a glance read the time faster. And so this is something that I definitely recommend. You can pick the older models up for around $100, $120, $130 usually. And then as you get newer with a little bit more ruggedness to it, they're water resistant. I mean, you could literally dive with them. I cannot kill them. I've tried. And I like how the legibility of the face. It was just time, because I also know that if you do a little bit of studying, even if the digital takes a dump, I can still use this as a compass using the watch hands. And there's a technique whereby during the day you can use the sun, as long as you know if you're in the northern hemisphere or the southern hemisphere, you can use the sun, and you could split the difference between the sun and the hour and minute hand, and that will give you a rough estimate of north and south when you become disoriented. Because trust me, you spend enough time in the woods and eventually you're going to get disoriented. Overall, very pleased, but this is my first seeing it. I saw it at a trade show. I didn't get to spend a lot of time with it. Usually I swap the bands out, as you can see, to silicone bands, but this one doesn't have. They used to have a very large piece that went right here to kind of cause the watch to curve. This one does not have that piece. I'm very happy with that because I'm probably just going to leave this strap on it for now. It has a single keeper. I kind of like having two keepers so that the strap doesn't come undone and go flopping. But it has some slight texturing to the backside, which will keep the watch from moving around on my wrist. So something to study up on for those of you that are serious preppers or in prepper mode is the Casio Tough Solar series of watches. Expect to pay about $300 for a good one. But in the absence of your cell phone network working, this will tell you a lot of the things that you depend on for your cell phone, and it does not require recharging every 4 or 5 days. Like the newer, there's a trend going to these smart watches. This watch will sync with my phone. Well, guess what? If my phone takes a dump, I don't care if it syncs with my phone or not. I don't want to have to recharge it. And so this is the Tough Solar, Casio Tough Solar. In this particular model, they usually, when you reference them, this is the PRG 600 Yankee Y, PRG-600Y ProTrek Tough Solar. And so I appreciate you guys watching. Let me rant, not really rant, but ramble on a little bit about the watch. I'll probably do follow-ups later on once I look through and play with it a little bit and access all the functions, get the time set correctly. This is probably set from wherever it came into the country. So I appreciate you watching. MrZeke coming to you from the Silver Pouring Bench with not a silver video. Cheers, everybody. Take care.